If you're a fan of Queen and have seen the Bohemian Rhapsody movie, you already know a lot about one of the world's best singers, Freddie Mercury. You know he was born Farrukh Balsara in Zanzibar, that he worked as a baggage handler, and even the fact that he was an avid cat lover. So today, we're going to show you some of the more obscure facts about Freddie Mercury and see who's the biggest fan. Sit back, let's begin. Number 1. Freddie disguised Princess Diana as a man and took her out to a gay bar. Freddie Mercury was hanging out with Princess Diana, watching Golden Girls reruns and drinking champagne, before he, comedian Kenny Everett, and actress Cleo Ruckus would head out to the famous gay bar Royal Vauxhall Tavern in South London. Diana insisted on joining. Kenny and Cleo tried to dissuade the princess because what headlines this kind of outing could garner. Diana didn't care, and Freddie supported her, saying, "Go on, let the girl have some fun." So to disguise Diana, they dressed her in an army jacket, a cap, and sunglasses. To their surprise, it worked. Cleo Ruckus recalls, "When we walked in, we felt she was obviously Princess Diana and would be discovered at any minute, but people just seemed to blank her. She sort of disappeared, but she loved it. Diana and Freddie were giggling, but she did order a white wine and a beer. Once the transaction was completed, we looked at one another, united in our triumphant quest. We did it. Only a man like Freddie Mercury could party with royalty." Number 2. Freddie was David Bowie's roadie. In April 1969, the relatively unknown singer-songwriter David Bowie played an afternoon gig at Ealing Arts Center. Freddie Mercury actually helped carry Bowie's amp and helped build a makeshift stage for him out of canteen tables. Hilariously, Freddie decided not to mention this to David Bowie when they worked together years later. Number 3. Kurt Cobain mentions Freddie Mercury in his suicide note. In Kurt Cobain's heartbreaking letter to those he would leave behind, he laments about not having felt the excitement of listening to and creating music for years. Kurt wrote, "When we were backstage and the lights go out and the manic roar of the crowd begins, it doesn't affect me the way in which it did for Freddie Mercury, who seemed to relish in the love and adoration from the crowd, which is something I totally admire and envy." Number 4. His recording session with Michael Jackson was interrupted by a llama. Freddie and Michael became great friends in the early 80s. Both being at the top of their games, they decided to work together on a number of duets, such as There Must Be More to Life Than This. But while recording, Michael Jackson insisted on bringing in his pet llama to the studio. This thoroughly annoyed Freddie, who immediately called his manager Jim Miami Beach and complained. Miami recalls their exchange. He says, "They got on well except for the fact that I suddenly got a call from Freddie saying, 'Miami, dear, can you get on over here? You've got to get me out of this studio.' I said, 'Well, what is the problem?' He said, 'I'm recording with a llama. Michael's bringing his pet llama into the studio every day, and I'm really not used to recording with a llama, and I've had enough and I want to get out,' thus ending their collaboration. However, Freddie did have some regrets about letting the llama ruin his plans, saying, 'I think one of the tracks would have been on the Thriller album if I had finished it, but I missed out.'" Freddie's father, Bowie, was a philatelist, which means stamp collector, and inspired his son to become one as well. Freddie built his collection between the ages of 9 and 12, and they included stamps from a wide range of countries all over the world, including many from Zanzibar. Because of his family's religious beliefs, being Zoroastrian, all of Freddie's belongings were to be burnt upon his death. However, his father decided to save Freddie's childhood stamp album, and it now has a home in the National Post Museum, and the money used to buy it was donated to Freddie's AIDS charity. Number 6. Freddie Mercury used a piano as the headboard of his bed. The double-jointed Mercury would awake with inspiration, reach up and back behind his head, and play what he'd heard in his dreams. This was how Bohemian Rhapsody began. Number 7. Freddie sent a final gift to Elton John. After Freddie had passed away from AIDS on November 24, 1991, Elton John grieved the loss of his friend for weeks after the funeral. Then, on Christmas Day, a mutual friend of theirs showed up at Elton John's house bearing a gift. When he opened it, he found a painting by Henry Scott Tuke, one of his favorite artists, and it had a little note from Freddie. Before I read you the message, it's important to know that Freddie had an adorable habit of nicknaming men with girls' names. So Elton was Sharon, and Freddie's nickname was Melina. The note read, "Dear Sharon, I thought you'd like this. Love, Melina. Happy Christmas." It's remarkable that even though Freddie knew he was dying, he still took the time to show Elton he loved him. That is a beautiful friendship. Number 8. There's a rose named after him. 2 years after his death, Freddie's fans raised £2,000 to create and name a new variety of rose in his honor, because yellow roses were Freddie's favorite. And if you want to buy it for that special someone in your life, it's sold out until late November, which is just in time to remember when Freddie passed away. Number 9. Freddie believed in his teeth. Freddie Mercury not only had more teeth than the average person, but believed that they were integral to his ferocious singing voice. When he showed interest in joining Brian May and Roger Taylor after their band Smile split up, they replied, "Not with those teeth, mate." To which Freddie coolly responded, "I was born with 4 additional incisors. More space in my mouth means more range." And after demonstrating how incredible his voice really was, he was in. Number 10. Only one person knows Freddie's final resting place. After Freddie passed away, he left his longtime friend and lover, Mary Austin, his mansion, a large portion of his wealth, recording royalties, and entrusted her with one last wish: to keep the location of his ashes a secret. Until this day, Mary Austin refused to disclose where they are. And as a final word on their love for one another, Freddie says this about Mary: "All my lovers asked me why they couldn't replace Mary. But it's simply impossible. I couldn't fall in love with a man the same way I did with Mary." Well, that's all for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and let us know how many of these facts about Freddie Mercury you knew. If you knew all of them, then you're definitely a great Freddie Mercury fan, and you helped keep his memory alive all these years later. Thanks so much for watching, and special thanks to contributing author Leah Robbins. Be sure to check out some of our other videos on music, such as Why Did Freddie Mercury Write Bohemian Rhapsody?, the story behind Toto's Africa, and if you're a Beatles fan, well, let's just say this is your channel. Thanks to the amazing patrons who keep this channel alive, and if you're into super underground music, then definitely check out the HollyHobs on Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere music is streamed. If you want to be notified when new videos are out, at this point you'll have to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and pray that YouTube will recommend anything you actually might want to see. If you have an idea for a video, please be sure to leave a comment. See you next time.